Well, what's up, fart knockers and dillweeds? Welcome to yet another episode of The Realms of Metal. With you always, Ant Master 5, the Ant Man hanging out with you. And as always, my best friend for the last 30 plus years, the one, the only, from one state over to the west, west, and 3 counties over. Metal thrashing Ed. And
Morning, guys. How are you?
the return of the one and only from across the pond, the man whose country we gained our independence from in 1776, John Gill.
Hey, guys.
What's up?
Now, we had to bring John in on the show because we're dedicating the whole show to just talking about Exodus. We're going to go through their history,
all things Exodus,
lineup changes, records, anything Exodus related is on the table. And I know Exodus is John's favorite band as well, so we had to bring John in this. It was important that he came on with us to get his perspective on everything. So, welcome back, man. Good to see you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, great to be back again. Still hanging out, watching your shows, and it's all good stuff. So, yeah, I've really been excited.
Thanks,
looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to this one.
And it all harkens back to how we met back on the Exodus Attack forums way back in, 2005.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys met on the Exodus forum, and then I met John on the Facebook. Metal group that we had. Me, you, Dazzo, and that guy Waylon was on there.
Yeah.
Do you ever keep in contact with any of those guys anymore, like Dennis and everybody, all those guys?
Oh, yeah.
I've not messaged Dennis for a long time. I've not been on Facebook a lot recently, so I know he's a big Facebook guy. But it just seems that the whole forum guys we had at the time, everyone's kind of drifted apart. But I guess it's like everything in life,
Yeah.
People move on, people have different buddies, different groups, and you either keep your passion for the band or you kind of move on and listen to Load and Reload and everything Metallica.
Nothing stays the same forever. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, But the crazy thing is, though, if it wasn't for Exodus, we wouldn't be here now. All three of us.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Right? Metal unites people. It's the great thing about it,
Yeah.
So
I literally just saw there's been some really horrible inclement weather rolling through the United States lately, and there was a really bad tornado that ripped up this venue. I don't know what band was playing.
It was the Morbid. We were just going to talk about that. It was the Morbid Angel tour.
I'm sorry, bud.
It was Morbid Angel, Skeletal Remains, and Revocation. It was Friday night at the Apollo Theater in Belvedere, Illinois.
Okay.
The fans were in the venue. I don't think the show started yet, but a tornado ripped through the area and it collapsed the roof.
Yeah.
And it injured a lot of people, and it actually killed one person. Unfortunately, fucking terrible, man.
But how we are as like a brotherhood of metal, everybody ran to help everybody.
His name was Fred Livingston Jr., and I saw a couple of posts. They started a GoFundMe for him. So Realms of Metal is definitely going to make a donation to him and to his family. Deepest condolences. It's terrible thing. So he's in our thoughts, and we wish that family the best.
Definitely, yeah. But it's losing a brother, isn't it? Losing a brother.
Yeah, no matter what, it really is. So. All right, gentlemen, let's dig into it. So
let's dive in.
We're going to talk about the Mighty Exodus today. My favorite band. I know it's John's favorite band. I know it's one of Anthony's favorite bands, not necessarily his favorite band, but he knows a lot of the Exodus stuff. And
I know some of that useless knowledge that what kind of guitar Gary Holt is playing today and his signature series, what pickups he uses, what strings he uses.
That's cool. It's interesting. I love it.
So, formed in 1979 in Richmond, California, which was a suburb of San Francisco.
Excellent.
The band was formed by Tom Hunting, Kirk Hammett, and a guy named Carlton Melson, who was the bass player at the time. So they started as a three-piece. In the initial formation of Exodus, Tom Hunting was the drummer and vocalist for the band.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say that. That's is there any old footage of him singing, like behind the drum kit? I always wondered, just from a vocal perspective, I wanted to know if he had.
He does sing on a few tracks, like some of the bonus tracks of the later albums. Didn't he sing on a couple of bonus tracks, John, like a cover of something?
Bonded by Banjo, he sang on.
How about, did he sing on Angel of Death also, the Angel Witch cover?
But yeah, on Blood In, Blood Out, yeah.
Right, yes. And he's a decent vocalist. Tom can sing.
I'm always curious to what kind of equipment he's using behind the drums, because like I am currently behind my drum kit. And I usually I sing into this mic, my SM57. Then I have, another headset with a mic boom attached to the earpiece.
Now I compiled this from like stuff that I already knew. I went on the Wikipedia, I went on the Metal Archives, I went on YouTube. I found whatever I could find and tried to make sense of everything, and just tried to, compile it, sequentially from the startup of the band all the way up until now. So who came up with the name Exodus? It was Tom Hunting and Kirk Hammett came up with the name. If you watch the Assorted Atrocities DVD that they put out a while ago, they go into a brief history of the band, and where they're being interviewed actually is right outside of the Chance. You can't mistake it. There's the brick buildings on every side. And I knew it right away as soon as I watched it, because at the time I was going to all the Generation Kill shows, and Rob Dukes was, the front man for Generation Kill, and his buddy Craig is the one who put that video together. And I asked him directly. He goes, "Yeah, you nailed it, man. We filmed a lot of that stuff right outside of the Chance, which was pretty cool."
Does John know what the Chance is?
Yeah, I think he does.
Oh, okay.
It's a venue that we see a lot of our shows at.
Yeah.
Or did.
Apparently, yeah.
So the first lineup for Exodus was Tom Hunting on drums, Kirk Hammett on guitar, a guy named Tim Agnello on guitar, Keith Stewart on vocals, and Carlton Melson on bass. Now we're going to jump up from 1979 to 81. In 81, Gary Holt was a roadie for the band. And I had read in a couple spots that Kirk Hammett was actually initially the one who taught Gary how to play like basic guitar chords and stuff. Did you ever hear that?
Yeah, I've heard that. How true it is. Well, it got to come from them bits, yeah.
Yep. And then Gary joined the band shortly after, and he placed Tim Agnello. And, the rest is history. In 1982, they did the Whipping Queen demo. That was with Whipping Queen, Death and Domination, and Warlords. That lineup was Hunting, Hammett, Holt, Jeff Andrews on bass, Carlton Melson was out, and Bailoff on vocals. In 1983, they did the Die By His Hand demo, which was a 2-track demo, Die By His Hand and a track called Endor. And shortly after that, Kirk Hammett bolts and leaves for Metallica. Now, I tried to find out how that happened, like, what happened. I ended up finding a clip on YouTube where Metallica was on the Stern show, and Howard Stern actually asked him, "You were in a band called Exodus, how did you leave them?" And he said, according to what he said on the video, Kirk said, "I literally walked into the room, Gary, Tom, and Paul Bailoff were there, and I said, I'm leaving the band, I'm joining Metallica," and they were like, "Okay." And that was it.
Yeah.
I think I read the other day that Mark Whitaker, who was the Exodus manager, wasn't he? I think he had something to do with it, with Metallica as well. Called him. Apparently he was on the shitter at the time. Kirk was, took the call and said, "Do you want to join or try out for Metallica?" And that was it.
Yeah. And if you watch, I forget, I think it may have been on the Assorted Atrocities DVD. Gary Holt said that was his decision. Good financial one for him, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like from every interview I've ever heard with Kirk, it's there was, excuse the pun, there was never any bad blood. He always had the most positive things to say about Hunting and Bailoff and Holt, and it was, yeah, you never heard anything.
No, I never did.
I mean, I remember like that was how I discovered Exodus. I was like, I'm gonna listen to the band that Kirk Hammett used to be in. That's literally how I discovered them.
So after he left, the band ran through a couple of guitar players, And then we go up to 1984. So in the lineup is Hunting, Holt, Bailoff, Rick Huno, enter Rick Huno on guitar, and Rob McKillop on bass. And in 1984, right after that, they did the Lesson in Violence demo, which was a 2-song demo, A Lesson in Violence, and Strike of the Beast was on it. And April 5th, 1985, we've got Bonded by Blood, the first release. With that lineup, it was on Torrid Records, produced by Ken Adams, Todd Gordon, and Mark Whitaker. That record was originally supposed to be titled A Lesson in Violence, not Bonded by Blood. But the title was nixed because they couldn't find suitable artwork to go with the title A Lesson in Violence. So they went with Bonded by Blood and came up with that, with the iconic, 2-headed baby art. We fast forward to 1986. Paul Bailoff was fired from the band. Enter Steve Zetro Souza on vocals, who was the vocalist for The Legacy at the time, which was The Legacy was Testament.
Yeah, that was Testament before.
They renamed themselves Testament. He was their vocalist from 83 to 86, and then he joined Exodus in 86. October 7th, 1987, we got the second full-length, Pleasures of the Flesh, Combat Records, produced by Mark Senesac. That lineup, Hunting, Holt, Huno, the H-Team, as everybody refers to them, Rob McKillop on bass, and Zetcher on vocals. What's your feelings on the transition from Bonded by Blood to Pleasures of the Flesh? Like, how do they compare? How do you feel about that, John?
If I'm being honest, I remember at the time I kind of started with Fabulous Disaster. That was my first Exodus album. So I got Pigs of Bonded by Blood, and I looked at the back of the album cover, and there's a guy on there. He looked like Zetro, but he wasn't Zetro. And then it said, I realised the bottom, Paul Bailoff. So I then got Pleasures of the Flesh afterwards, and thought, I've got to listen to this as a follow-up to Bonded by Blood. And I must admit, I was a bit disappointed. Not that it wasn't a bad record. It's a great record, killer record, some great songs on there. But I just think the strength of the songs on Bonded by Blood meant the follow-up was always going to be a challenge,
right.
And they did a great job. But I think it's almost like they kind of may have rushed it, when Zetro joined. But no, I mean, there's some great songs. I mean, Brain Dead and Deranged, there's great songs they are, it's an album, probably one of their albums I don't really go back to a lot, but nonetheless, it's still a good album, solid release.
You know what was always one of my unsung favorites on that was The Speed of the Hand is faster than you'll ever live to be. I love that track. Yeah. It's so good. Now, I, like you, my first Exodus record was Fabulous Disaster. So then I got the two before that. And I just never realized the brilliance of Bonded by Blood until probably like the late 90s. When they got back with Bailoff in the late 90s and they did that tour. Mm-hmm. When that happened, I pulled out Bonded by Blood again, and I started to realize how iconic that record actually was. So it took me a while to really know how legendary that record was. I didn't know it, from the beginning. When I was a kid, it was, Fabulous Disaster. And then, when Impact is Imminent came out, those were the two for me.
Yeah, definitely.
That's just how it went for me. So fast forward to 1989, January 30th, Fabulous Disaster, the third full length. My introduction to the band, your introduction to the band. It was on Combat, Music for Nations, produced again by Mark Senesac with Gary Holt and Rick Huno. Reached number 82 on the Billboard 200, and they did their first video for the Toxic Waltz. Remember the Toxic Waltz video? How awesome that was?
I remember the shirt with the footprints on the back, showing you the steps.
That was the Toxic Waltz shirt. Yeah,
I remember you had the shirt.
I was a freshman. And, same lineup as Pleasures of the Flesh. Brilliant record. You know, one of the unsung tracks on that for me were always Verbal Razors. I thought Verbal Razors was fucking killer, man.
Insane, sir. Insane.
So shortly after that, Tom Hunting left the band.
Yeah.
And entered John Tempesta, who was the drum tech for Charlie Benante of Anthrax.
Then he went on to White Zombie as well, correct?
I think so.
Mhm.
So fast forward to 1990, June 21st, we've got the fourth full-length, Impact is Imminent. Probably my most underrated thrash record of all time. That was on Capitol Records, produced by Gary Holt, Rick Hunolt. Reached number 137 on the Billboard 200. Music video, Objection Overruled. Remember that one?
Yeah, black and white one.
That whole record was aces for me. Impact.
That's my first Exodus record.
Yeah.
And again, shame on me, but I don't care because I still bought it. Bought it sorely for the album cover.
Yeah.
Then got Fabulous Disaster a couple of months later.
Yeah.
And those were the only two I had for the longest time until like Tempo of the Damned.
Yeah. So like the first four records are just, they're genre defining records, in my opinion. Like, how do you feel?
I like what you just said there.
How do you feel? Like, to me, Exodus are the OGs of thrash. They were formed before anybody else in 1979, before Metallica, before Slayer, before Anthrax, before Overkill. To me, they're the OGs. Even before Metallica. So how do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I don't think you can name anybody before them. That there wasn't anybody before them. It was just what inspired them, and then all of a sudden this thing came along, which just tore the scene apart. And there's obviously all that Bay Area, the bands that followed, but none was so devastatingly brutal as Exodus. Just the sound, their image, what they stood for. It was just
now Exodus really started that whole Bay Area thrash thing, and
absolutely
Metallica was not from the Bay Area, right? But they moved there eventually, right? Wasn't Metallica from like LA or something like that? Like, where were they from?
Because Hetfield was from Downey, California.
Yeah,
and so then they kind of settled in LA, and they were playing that glam metal scene, even though they weren't glam metal, but they were like, this just fucking sucks. And it was actually Hetfield said that it was Cliff Burton's idea to say, why don't you guys come up to Frisco? Because that's when Ron McGovney left Metallica. And that was kind of like the unspoken deal. Like, I'm going to leave Trauma and join you guys, Cliff Burton saying, if you come to Frisco. Yeah, and they made that collective decision.
Cliff pretty much said, you come to Frisco or nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the deal breaker.
Yeah, because the scene was already happening without Metallica. Metallica wanted to be a part of that, and that's why they went there, in my opinion. So.
And I think, and it's a sound decision, because if you think about the bands that were collectively around that LA scene, we don't know that there could have been some type of other unknown, really decent underground thrash band that just never made it anywhere because they never got the fuck out of LA.
Like
you ever
Slayer.
think about that?
Yeah, Slayer was an LA band, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
They stood there.
I know Mustaine used to call it gay LA metal. Remember on all the videos?
With the t-shirt. Yeah.
I remember that one interview with Metallica where they all in unison went, LA sucks.
Like, he wanted to get away from all the rats and the fucking poisons and all that shit. So that
Mustaine had the t-shirt with Nikki Sixx on and the line through his face with the gay LA metal thing.
I love listening to Mustaine talk about all, because he doesn't hold anything back. He kind of tells you how he feels, and metal's missing that nowadays. I like to hear guys who are opinionated and about the way they feel about things.
I love Mustaine, but there's one thing, and because this is the show. I mean, he always says, like, he doesn't badmouth Kirk Hammett, but he says, and I quote, no, I mean, like Kirk's, he's an okay guitarist. Okay. Well, bro,
We could probably do a whole nother show about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the lineup for Impact is Imminent was minus Tom Hunting, so the H team was split up. We got Holt, Huno, Zetcher on vocals, Rob McKillop on bass, and John Tempest on drums.
And that was the first like departure from Hunting being the only original member at that point.
Correct.
Yeah.
I know he had some personal things going on. I'm not going to get into anybody's personal things. I'm just going to say is, he left the band. He took a hiatus from the band, so 91.
Big loss at the time.
Yeah. 91, they released the live album Good Friendly Violent Fun. Later on that year, Rob McKillop is out of the band, enter Mike Butler on bass. Then we go on to 1992, August 17th, the fifth full-length, Force of Habit on Capitol Records, produced by Chris Sangarides, if I'm pronouncing that right. Music videos, they did two of them, Thorn in My Side, Good Day to Die. So that lineup was Holt, Huno, Zetro, John Tempesta, and Mike Butler on bass. How do you guys feel about Force of Habit?
I was gonna say the only thing I remember from that album was the Stones cover of "Bitch."
Yeah,
and I didn't like it.
Didn't they have the horn section in that too?
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I didn't like that. Like to me, that was a departure from what they were doing. It was
that's like one of those albums when you think of. Not that I want to like bring up the Beatles, but when they went through their Ravi Shankar phase, and it's like next thing you know, it's like, yeah, let's bring in a series of people that play the didgeridoo. What?
They kind of went into a more mainstream writing mode, and
Gary want to find themselves musically.
Says, Force of Habit was the first time he ever wrote for somebody else and not for himself.
Yeah.
So they were trying to go a more commercial route. I get it. They were on Capitol Records, a big record company. There's some good stuff on Force of Habit. It's just not the Exodus that I knew at that time. And I'm not going to say it's a complete waste because there's stuff that I like.
Good Day to Die.
My Side is good. Be Myself and I is good.
Feeding Time at the Zoo.
Feeding Time at the Zoo is a thrasher, man. It really is.
Real banger.
Climb Before the Fall.
Good Day to Die. Yeah. I mean, there's some good stuff on there, but that record is different in terms of their whole discography for me.
Would you consider that kind of like their version of like Risk?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But still heavier than Risk, so.
Duh.
I mean, it's no Lulu, but
I Am the Table.
I am the table.
But I always remember getting Force of Habit. I picked it up from the record shop, and I remember just picking it up and looking at the front cover thinking, what have they done?
I know.
The logo wasn't there. It was some kind of like shit painting that.
Yeah. Look real artsy, right? Like artsy bullshit.
Like that artsy fartsy shit that I just hate. And Ed can vouch, I was an art major when I was in college.
That's the kind of art that Lars Ulrich would pay $3 million for.
You're so lucky I didn't drink.
And has. So from that album, we go to 1993. Exodus splits up after the Force of Habit tour. So they go on a hiatus all the way up until 97. They reform in 97 with the lineup of Return of the H Team, Paul Bailoff back on vocals, and enter Jack Gibson on bass, who's with the band to this day. They released a legendary live album, Another Lesson in Violence. And a year later, they split up again. 1998, they split again. So it was a short reformation there. So we go from 98 all the way up to 2002. We have to talk about the passing of Paul Bailoff.
Yeah.
Paul Bailoff passed away February 2nd, 2002. He had a stroke. He was on life support. Gary, according to what I've read and seen on him, and it was in the Assorted Atrocities DVD, he had full autonomy of what happened to Paul. So it was his decision. There was no coming back from what he had. He was on life support, so they pulled the plug at 2 minutes to midnight, February 2nd, 2002, on purpose because Paul was a big Iron Maiden fan and he did it. It was the most metal way to go out, I believe.
I gotta say I work in the field, so that's hardcore. That's admirable.
Yeah, we lost.
I never knew that.
Lost a legend.
Absolutely.
Fast forward to 2003, Zetro returns to the band. Fast forward to 2004, February 2nd, we've got the 6th full-length Tempo of the Damned. First record on Nuclear Blast, amazing record, produced by the legendary Andy Sneap. That was his first workings with the band. And Andy Sneap really elevated their sound. Like you could hear it, the guitar tone, it just popped, man. It was really good.
Let me know when we could talk about my favorite bonus track on that album.
All right. Music video for Throwing Down. And the record was released on February 2nd. So that tells you all you need to know. It had to have been dedicated to Paul Bailoff.
Yeah.
Lineup was the H Team, Holt, Huno, and Hunting, Jack Gibson on bass, and Zetcher on vocals. How do you guys feel about Temple of the Damned?
Well, for me, it's actually my favourite thrash album of the century. I absolutely love it. I always remember seeing, I think the video came on one of our music channels over here, and it came on. It's come up with Exodus, War is My Shepherd, and I thought, great! Oh my God, it's Exodus again! Brilliant! I didn't realise they'd come back and they'd reform whatever, but sonically, it's amazing. Songwriting is knocked out of the ballpark. Some great songs on there, but like you said, Ed, it was the production. It was Andy Sneap's work on it. It just made every instrument sound alive. It was like they were fizzing with energy. I can't explain the sound that on the album. But
brilliantly explained. I feel the exact same way.
It's just so energizing. Listen to it.
Yeah.
For me, sealed with a fist, because I'm a big dude and I like working out. I just want to fucking punch somebody's face in. So these are the songs that actually started to go on my workout playlist, like later on.
Yeah.
And Throwing Down, right there. But they did a bonus track, and they did AC/DC's
Dirty Deeds.
No, 30 Thieves and the Thunder Chief. But I will say we talk about covers, and sometimes you say to yourself, wow, this is better than the original. I do like the Exodus version better than the original.
Yeah.
Just that crunching guitar is just, it's not Angus, so it's something I like.
Blacklist was always a favorite of mine. They play it live every show. It just pumps the crowd right up. It's just got that like it's such a good track. One of the best tracks they ever wrote. Such a fun track.
I remember for no reason at all watching an Islander game one time, and it was Asham that body checked Crosby, and for no reason at all, I stood up off my couch and went, Impaler!
I loved Aaron Asham when he was with the Islanders. He was a great player. He was a beast. So that was Temple of the Damned 6 full-length 2004. Shortly after that, Zetro quits the band due to personal issues. Move up to 2005's, enter Rob Dukes, who was the guitar tech for Exodus at the time.
I will say this is where I kind of bow out. I didn't get anything with Dukes. I didn't get shovel-headed. I apologize.
It's all right.
That not because I didn't want to, just ADD.
Fast forward a little bit later into that year, exit Rick Huno and Tom Hunting. Enter Lee Altus from Heathen, who's still in the band. And enter Paul Bostoff from Slayer and X Forbidden for Shovelhead Kill Machine, which came out October 4th, 2005. Nuclear Blast, produced by Gary Holt, mixed by Andy Sneap on that one. Music video for Now Thy Death Day Come. So that lineup was Gary Holt, Jack Gibson, Lee Altus, Paul Bostoff, and Rob Dukes. John, how you feel about Shovelhead Kill Machine?
Fucking awesome. Yeah, I remember reading the lineup changes, and at the time I thought to myself, how's this band going to carry on? You know, you lose Zetro, you lose Tom Hunting. Yeah, Bostaff is brilliant drummer, excellent drummer, but they've got a new guy on vocals nobody has ever heard of. It's like, well, what to expect? What are you going to get from it? So I remember first time I heard it, I was went to see Chimera, the Cleveland band, and we were at the show in Birmingham, and before the show started, they were playing an album through the PA, and I said to Yanni at the time, I go, I'm sure that's Exodus, and she was not an Exodus fan at the time, but I remember they played Shovelhead Kill Machine through the PA system before Chimera came on, and the next day I bought the album, put it on, and was floored by it. It was just Exodus in a more brutal direction. It was just, yeah,
absolutely,
from start to finish, it was pulverizing.
Rob Dukes gave Exodus like a more harder edge than they had with Zetro, in my opinion. He was definitely more aggressive on the vocals, and even at the shows, you know, it was almost like going to a fucking hardcore show. You know, you see Rob Dukes on stage, and he just looks mean as fuck, and he's there to fucking kick your ass. And
yeah, he does. Like the first time I ever saw him, I thought he was the bouncer.
I like that, you know. It riles me up, you know. I took to it instantly. I purposely didn't listen to any of the tracks on Shovelheaded until I bought the record. I remember being on my lunch, and I went to Rock Fantasy, you know, that afternoon, grabbed it as soon as it hit the shelf, brought it back, you know, brought it home. And because Exodus was my favorite band, you know, and I wanted to love it. You know, my worst fear was putting that CD on and not liking it, you know. And I fell in love with it instantly, and you know, the rest is history. So fast forward from 2005 to 2007, Paul Bostoff exits the band, re-enter Tom Hunting. Later on that year, 2007, October 28th, we got the 8th full length, the Atrocity Exhibition, Exhibit A. That was released on Nuclear Blast, produced by Andy Sneap. They did a video for Riot Act, which is a killer fucking track. And that lineup is Gary Holt, Jack Gibson, Lee Altus, Tom Hunting, and Rob Dukes. Brilliant record. How do you guys feel about Exhibit A? What do you think of Exhibit A, John?
Yeah. Well, what's not been said about that album? I think it's probably the most underrated thrash album of the century. The production was fantastic. Rob Dukes' singing was on another level. I don't know whether he got singing coaching or what, but yeah, the raw was more ferocious. He had clean vocals on Children of Worthless God. And he was pretty good at it as well, to be fair to him. You know, the guy's a punk vocalist, so to sing clean, you know, it takes a lot of doing. But I just think the songs were so well written. Andy Sneap's production was back up to Tempo the Dam standard. It was everything that it was hyped up to be. Because I remember Gary on the forum saying, I've got God knows how many amount of songs I've got, but this is going to be a special album.
Yeah.
And it didn't disappoint. It was just awesome.
It's a dark record. I love those dark, mature thrash records, and this definitely fits that bill. You know, the songwriting, the way the songs were. Funeral Hymn, Children of a Worthless God. The title track is like 10 minutes long. I love the lyrics in that, the Atrocity Exhibition. They're just, it's mind-blowing stuff. Iconoclasm is one of my favorite Exodus songs ever. You know?
That's my alarm. That's my alarm in the morning, and each day I wake up to that song. It's like, get out of bed.
And they played it like every show. It was great to hear that every show. And like the transition from Rob Dukes to Shovel Headed to that was like night and day. Like listening to Exhibit A and then going back and listening to Shovel Headed, it seems like he almost tried to overdo it on Shovel Headed Kill Machine. Like he tried to be more brutal than he had to be. But like that showed Exhibit A showed him kind of like you said, John, coming into his own as a vocalist, getting more comfortable in his own shoes. And that's the way I felt about it. And his vocals just seem to get better and better with every release.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was 2007. Let's move up to 2008. Controversial release, the 9th release, Let There Be Blood, October 28th, which was a re-release of the iconic Bonded by Blood, but with the current lineup. Now that was on Zaint's Records, produced by Gary Holt, mixed by Andy Sneap. Same lineup as Exhibit A. There was one extra track on that called Hell's Breath, which was a leftover track from 1983 that they put on there.
That Kirk has writing credits on that one.
A lot of fans hate the re-releases of classic records, but I gotta be honest with you, I love this, especially because I was going to see Exodus so much at that time. It was a representation of what the band sounded now. It wasn't meant to replace Bonded by Blood, just a representation of where they were right now. And I loved it. Sonically, it was amazing. How do you guys feel about it?
So I have this one. I enjoyed it. Every track from, Bonded by Blood to Lesson in Violence, Metal Command, Parada. I enjoyed it. That was definitely a record I could immerse myself in. Production wise, that the drums were, they were. I don't mean they sounded different, but they were production value of just that kit on that album. You could tell the difference. From my perspective, they were kick drum was just right in your fucking gut, and I love that album. You mixed it for me and gave it to me as a present.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
I think what I liked about that album, and like you said, it was a representation of the band as what they were at that time. Yeah. But it was the fact that they speeded up, and then there were none. Because on the original release on Bonded by Blood, it's kind of slow, but when you see it live, they sort of up the tempo and it's more brutal. So the fact they did it on Let There Be Blood, that's what I loved about that. They actually represented the live version.
So I loved everything about that record. Like I said, nothing will replace Bonded by Blood, and Gary will say the same thing. But it was just a representation of where the band was at that point, So to slam it is pretty stupid, actually. So from 2008, we go up to 2010. They released a live album, Shovel-Headed Tour Machine and the Assorted Atrocities DVD. Like we said in the beginning, some of the interviews were shot at the Chance in Poughkeepsie, right outside in the parking lot there. At the time, I was going to a lot of Generation Kill shows. That was Rob Dukes' other band, who he's still doing stuff with now. Really good stuff.
You got me the hoodie.
I got you the hoodie.
I still have the hoodie.
And before it came out, him and his buddy were there, and I was asking him about it. And like, when's it coming out, or is it done yet? I forgot what I asked him. And he said, "You're in it." And I'm like,
I remember you told me that.
Like, what? So there was a clip at the Chance of me like in the front row, and like Funeral Hymn is playing, and I'm like shouting the lyrics, and like he intentionally put me in the fucking DVD, so not like I asked him to put me in a DVD. Like that's the kind of guy Rob Dukes is. He's a good guy. Like he appreciates the fans. He put me in the fucking DVD on purpose. So that's my 5 seconds of fame. I'm in the Exodus DVD, but super cool.
Yeah.
Fast forward to May 7th, 2010. Exhibit B, The Human Condition. Another fucking beast of a record, man. Nuclear Blast, produced by Andy Sneap again. Music video for Downfall on that one. Same lineup as Exhibit A and Let There Be Blood. One note on that: on The Sun Is My Destroyer, Peter Tagrin from Hypocrisy did backing vocals. Very death metal-ish vocals on that track, and he's part of the reason why. Really cool stuff. Remember Exhibit B when it came out, John? What a fucking beast of a record that is, huh?
It was just super exciting. And I remembered you were writing the lyrics down to the Ballad of Leonard and Charles and reciting them. Yeah, I think on the back of Exhibit A that there was a lot of excitement about that album, and rightly so. Crazy long album, but
yeah, I was just gonna say, like track wise alone, like when you got to like The Sun Is My Destroyer, it almost had like And Justice for All vibe to it.
Yeah.
To me, slightly better than Exhibit A. Overall, I mean, both brilliant records, but the Leonard and Charles, fucking Class Dismissed. When you hear Class Dismissed and you hear the lyrics, it kind of paints a picture. Not necessarily a nice picture, but you can picture in your head what might be going on in a school when something like that happens. Just brilliant songwriting altogether.
Burn Hollywood Burn.
The sound is great on that one. Sonically, it sounds good. All the songs were good. Good Riddance was on that. That's a really underrated Exodus track. Brilliant stuff. So that was their 10th release, Exhibit B. Fast forward to 2011. Gary Holt joined Slayer to fill in for an ill Jeff Henneman.
Yeah.
So everybody knows Jeff Henneman got sick. He ended up passing away May 2nd, 2013. We can get into another whole show about Slayer and Jeff Henneman and all that stuff. Shortly after that, Gary was confirmed as a full member of Slayer. And while Exodus was touring at that time, Rick Huno came back briefly to fill in for Gary to finish out their tour or whatever tour plans they had going at that time. That was 2011. Fast forward to 2014. Rob Dukes is out of the band. Zetro returns. I remember hearing the news about that, and I was absolutely fucking gut-wrenched. All I knew was, do you remember going back and forth on Facebook, John? I think we were going back and forth with Jack Gibson, who was on Facebook at the time. And we were all messaging him saying, really, Dukes is out? Who's going to be the new vocalist? And he just put something like "Stay tuned." So then like all of us Exodus fans were just kind of taken aback as to what we just heard, because they're on such a roll at that point. I said to myself, the only way they're going to forge on is with Zetro back, because there's no way they're going to bring a new singer into the fold, somebody who's never been doing it, and sure enough, that's exactly what happened. So Dukes was out, Zetro was back. How did you feel about Dukes exiting the band and Zetro coming back?
I remember when it first broke, and like you say, I think the hardcore group of us were sort of like just in shock and disbelief. It was like, we all couldn't believe what had happened, and they were doing so well with Rob, so for him to go, didn't make any sense at the time, and to bring Zetro back, and we've heard the stories about Zetro, and the feeling after he left them pre-tour, South American tour on the Temple Lamb tour, I love Zetro, still love him, he's an amazing singer, great singer, he's an Exodus singer, they're all great, but I kind of felt bittersweet. Great having Zetro back, but Rob worked his bollocks off.
I agree.
He saved the band along with Gary and the rest of the band, and it just didn't sit right.
I was really depressed, to be honest with you. I felt like, don't forget me wrong, Zetro is the voice of my youth. I love his vocals, I love the guy, but I almost kind of felt like maybe not taking a step backwards, but maybe just taking a step sideways. Obviously something really went wrong for them to, have Rob Dukes out of the band. So it is what it is. all three vocalists are legendary. You know, I don't take anything away from the Rob Dukes era. It's a fucking great era of Exodus. All the stuff they released, just mind-blowing stuff. So that was 2014. Fast forward to October 10th, 2014. We have the 11th Exodus release, Blood In, Blood Out. Nuclear Blast Records, produced by Exodus. Music video, Blood In, Blood Out. Kirk Hammett does a guest solo on Salt the Wound on that record. And Chuck Billy does guest vocals on the track BTK. And that lineup was Gary Holt, Jack Gibson, Lee Altus, Tom Hunting, and Zetro back on vocals. How do you feel about Blood In, Blood Out?
Good album, solid album. I remember originally Rob Juice recorded some of the tracks for it. That you can find them on YouTube, can't you?
I wonder who released those. I was thinking the same thing. Who released those tracks?
They kind of got released straight after the release of the album, didn't they? And it's like,
yes,
what's going on there, you know? And you know, for the Dukes, you know, side of the crowd, it was like, you know, why couldn't we have had this on an album? You know, but you know, I do actually think Zetro did a fantastic job on that album, considering I think it was a matter of he got the call, came to the studio the next day, recorded the vocals in a day or some couple of days. And I think he just floored it, you know, because he was singing somebody else's album at the end of the day.
Right.
But solid songs on there, you know, some great songs. Collateral Damage, I just absolutely love that song. It's a beast of a song.
That and Black 13.
Black 13, yeah. Even the intro, you know, at the time it was like, was it the Gorillaz, the British indie dance band? It was their DJ.
Oh, okay, yeah, Feel Good Inc. Them.
Right. I forget his name. I know who you're talking about though.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about too.
But it's the most thrash intro to a thrash album you could have. Yeah, you put it on, you think you've got a different CD in the player or vinyl, whatever. Right. But it actually works well when it goes into Black 13. It just floors it from there.
Yeah, that's a great track.
When you listen to Salt the Wound, and being that Kirk Hammett is featured on it, I think there's kind of something that you know, there's like a fuse that kind of goes off in your brain, like a switch that goes off, that you kind of think for a minute and you say to yourself, would this be the direction Exodus would have headed in? Would this have been Exodus's sound if Kirk Hammett was still there? You know, to hear him now playing on a track, you know, I always wondered that. It's like, all right, would this, you know, how would they have evolved if Kirk Hammett was part of their lineup, you know,
I don't know,
from every album?
You know, I was always under the impression that it was the Hetfield and Ulrich show in Metallica, and they pretty much wrote everything, and then, you know, they told Kirk what to play. I could be wrong about that, but
I meant from an Exodus perspective. Like, what would Exodus' sound have been like, you know, in the upcoming albums if Kirk Hammett was part of those albums? I don't know. So then when I heard Salt, I was like,
like, if Kurt never left the band, would we have ever gotten Rick Huno? You know, I mean, he's fucking legendary, man. I love that guy. You know, he's one of my favorite guitar players ever. I'm kind of glad Kirk did leave.
Yeah, but you know, like Dave Mustaine said, Kirk's just like an adequate guitar player.
No offense, but so where are we at? We are at
you're at
2014.
20. Okay. Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say we were right up to 2021, I think, with
So we're at 2014, Blood In, Blood Out, the 11th full length. Let's move up all the way to 2021.
There we go.
Tom Hunting diagnosed with cancer.
Yes. Yeah, he got diagnosed with stomach cancer, I believe.
It was stomach cancer. You would probably know more about this than anybody. And it was squamous cell carcinoma. What exactly?
All right, so he had a carcinoma. So that means it's kind of like a germ cell seminoma, like, you know, what I had. So basically, it's a mass that's conglomerated to, you know, one organ, but then unfortunately, it's like a Trojan horse, and it can spread like a Trojan horse.
Yeah.
So, you know, which is why he probably needed to go through aggressive treatments and everything else.
So Gary did do a GoFundMe for that, and it raised over
I saw that.
$150,000.
I just read that last night. Yeah.
You know, we definitely donated that. I know I did. I think John did too. I saw your name on there too, John.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I don't know. I mean, God bless him that, he was able to, return to the Skins, because I mean, I could barely walk down my front steps going through chemotherapy.
And
So
I remember it was like during all the COVID bullshit, and I just remember like just being like lost, and to hear that,
it's a kick in the nut.
like it really was a kick in the nuts. And I know that he underwent a gastrectomy. I don't know if they removed his whole stomach or part of his stomach. Do you know?
So it's probably what they probably did is they did a resection, and then he probably wound up having like, an ileostomy or a colostomy bag.
Yeah.
Unknown if they ever reversed it. He still might actually have that.
But he was very positive through the whole thing. Like I tried to keep up on everything, and he said he was going to battle it head on, and he did that. He did the surgery, and he went through like 4 rounds of chemo.
Yeah.
And he came out on top. He was declared cancer-free in July of 2021. So
God bless.
That's a big win. Big win for everybody.
He's actually the nicest guy in metal I've ever met. I met him twice, and super nice, super humble.
It's a sweetheart.
The guy's a legendary drummer, but the fans mean the world to him, and he's got time for the fans. And pictures taken, everything. Yeah, top guy.
In the DVD, Rob Dukes called him like a hippie. Like that's kind of his personality.
Yeah. I will say is, I'm the gearhead, and I'm all about the gear. Tom Hunting is one of the few thrash drummers that played Yamaha. I don't know why that always appealed to me, because I was like, all right, you go. You don't play Tama. Good for you.
So let's fast forward to the 12th full length and the latest one, November 19th, 2021, Persona Non Grata, Nuclear Blast, produced by Exodus. Music videos for The Beatings Will Continue and The Fires of Division. On one of the tracks, Lunatic Liar Lord, Rick Huno and Cragen from Heathen do guest guitar on that track. Really cool. What a beast of a record Persona Non Grata was, right? Shit.
Definitely.
I got something on this one.
Yeah, go on, Anthony.
It was elected by Loudwire as the 23rd best rock metal album of 2021. The publication also elected The Beatings Will Continue Until Morale Improves as the 11th best metal song of the same year.
Nice. It's not just The Beatings Will Continue. It's The Beatings Will Continue until morale improves.
Which is what I say at work all the time. The floggings.
It's such a cool line. I love it. And I love the way Zetro sings it. Like I said, beast of a record. My favorites on there are the title track. I love The Years of Death and Dying because of the homage to all the deceased musicians in that. It's it's got a nice bass line to it. I love to hear the bass line a lot in thrash songs. I think Jack really stands out on that one. And like the homage to all the musicians in that. And it's not only metal musicians. He talks about musicians from the gamut of, music. It's a really cool track. And I mean, that's a great one. That's really a great one.
For me, it was kind of like bringing a bit of the Dukes sound back again. I think it's a good combination of Zetro and Dukes, that album, and credit to Zetro. He did his Dukes on that album as well.
Yeah, yep.
So being I don't have this album and I'm not familiar with it, I'm just like going through the lyrics now. So he pays homage to, they pay homage to David Bowie, Prince, Johnny Cash, fucking A.
Jeff Henneman is on there. Toby Rage, they reference Toby Rage, Bon Scott, Eddie Van Halen. It's one of the lines is just ask the man in black, and I was going back and forth with this one. Angel of Death to me is the reference to Henneman, but the man in black I believe is Lemmy. Am I right about that?
Oh no, I think no. The man in black is Johnny Cash.
Is Johnny Cash?
Yeah.
I guess there's no Lemmy. How about taking
guess
souls
there's
along
no
the way?
Lemmy.
How about taking souls along the way? Who's that?
I
That's Jeff
even
Hanneman.
killed a
Gotta
prince,
be.
struck down the queen, bid farewell to kings. I took the angel of death.
Angel of Death.
We got a Tom Petty reference.
I cull the herd with no remorse. Could that be a Cliff Burton?
Possibly.
Ah,
But
Petty
really
things
cool,
won't
really
matter.
cool track.
Oh,
And
okay, yeah. He mentions Eruption, so Eddie Van Halen.
And that's where we are now. Like, this is where we are now. So that's basically the history of Exodus, their releases, their lineup changes. Hopefully we got it right. And the one other thing we should really talk about is the Big Four debate.
Oh, that's. I've been on a show about that.
When Gary is asked about Exodus not being included in the Big Four, he says, well, we were always the big one. And I agree with that 100%. So in my view, the Big Four should have always been West Coast bands. It should have been, Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and Exodus. They should have done a completely different Big Four from the East Coast and keep Anthrax out of there. Like they could have done like Anthrax, Overkill, Nuclear Assault, and maybe like an MOD or a Whiplash or somebody like that. But that was always the way I viewed the Big Four. How do you guys feel about Exodus not being in the Big Four?
I disagree. I think they were the forefathers of a sound, of a movement. It's I don't know. For me, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you look at every band that's in the Big Four. If you want to throw in Big Five, Big Six, and you want to put in Overkill and Testament, who are your influences? Before they get into the new wave of British heavy metal, every person mentions Exodus. I'm not wrong on that. Everybody mentions Exodus. So, yeah, why aren't they there?
They should be.
Amen.
I'm just guessing, like most of it, just based on sales, wasn't it? Whoever sold those, and they were the Big
Album
Four that
sales.
sold.
Yep.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
So I found this on Wikipedia. Megadeth founder Dave Mustaine said in a 1990 interview that, in his point of view, the Big Four were Exodus, Slayer, Metallica, and Megadeth, adding that Exodus are a much better band. I really like Exodus. Gary Holt and Rick Huno are really great guitar players. He also said that I think probably Exodus, because there was nobody else at that time that had that kind of pull over, that kind of importance in the metal community. So Dave Mustaine feels the same way that we do.
Dave Mustaine feels the same way as we do, but I'm going to say it. You could probably hear it in the sound of my voice, my distaste for Dave this morning. Is Dave ever like taken back by a guitar player? Is there anybody in the ages that Dave Mustaine goes, dude, you're a guitar god? Because there are guitar gods, but I mean,
I remember a bunch of interviews with him saying, like, guys in bands, in his own band, saying they were much better guitar players than he was. Like, I think he said
does
that
say
Marty Friedman. Yeah.
I'm still harping on what he said. I mean, I don't look. I'm not saying Kirk Hammett's like my favorite guitarist of all time, but for him to actually say on an interview, yeah, he's an okay guy. Okay. I was like, there's a lot more than okay. I mean,
back
I
in the
could do
day,
without the
there
nail
was no
polish,
way he was going to give Kirk Hammett any props for stealing the job. So
yeah, that's
like, yeah, I think he's come to peace with it now, but back then,
yeah,
no way.
Yeah, I mean, I saw like the later interviews when he actually confronted Lars about you woke me up and you drove me to a bus station. It's like, well,
my little Danish friend.
Yeah.
And just another fact here, Gary is the only member to be on every Exodus album through the whole history.
Shame on me. I wanted to do a little bit more research on Gary because there are, between all of our, bands that we listen to, pretty much every guitarist within the big four, big five, big six has their own signature series guitar. Kirk Hammett has, his lineup of signature series. Hetfield has the snake bite signature series. That Kerry King guy. Anyway,
you're a big fan of Kerry King, aren't you?
I don't like him at all. I just don't. I don't want to get into it. That's for another episode. I don't like him. What are you gonna do?
Can't like everybody.
Yeah, you can't like everybody. I will say that everybody's signature series guitar was like, Hetfield's snake bite was just basically, a modified, Gibson Explorer. There really wasn't much about it. He put a little edge on it here and there. Kirk Hammett's signature series with ESP was, I think, like on the 12th fret marker, he put "fuck you." There was and then that Kerry King guy and the King V series, which this is actually the kind of the Jackson. This isn't the King V. This is the Randy Rhoads version.
Actually, you know what? Scott Ian just had a signature Jackson release.
Yeah, Scott Ian just put out his own signature, but it's the King V Scott Ian signature series. So it's a Kerry King. So already I'm squinting one eye. But back to get Mr. Holt. Gary Holt's signature series of guitars. I wish I had it right here that I can stroke it. He's got this Les Paul body shape, which is pretty unique, even though, I know Kirk Hammett, had one like that he, doesn't play anymore. That he did all black, but then the pickups, Gary did in that holy shit blood red. And it just makes that guitar stand out.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And I really, really want it. Do I need it? No. Do I want it? Yes.
Then buy the fucker.
Did you guys ever see the Schecter guitar that he had done with his blood in the artwork?
I saw that. Yeah. So now he's with LTD, which is the ESP company. It's a what do you call a parent company, sister company, spinoff of ESP. But I want it. I'm hoping they release it in a 7-string, because that's like my next purchase, that I want to get a 7-string guitar.
Cool. So let's get into let's rank the Exodus records. John, why don't you start? Now I know there's 12 records, but I only did 11 because I didn't count Let There Be Blood. So up to you. Rank them as what you see them as.
You mean in chronological order?
Totally up to you, however you want to do it.
Yeah. Well, favorite obviously being Bonded by Blood. You spoke about it already. It's a classic. Every song on there, they still play them. Faultless record, absolutely faultless record. Production wasn't great, but at the time there were difficulties. But yeah, I'd have Bonded by Blood as my favorite. Second, I'd probably have Fabulous Disaster. That was obviously my intro, your intro to them. As soon as I heard it, they were different to Metallica. You can just listen to the album, and it was just brutal. So Fabulous Disaster, my second favorite album. Third, Tempo of the Damned. Like I said, my favorite of the 21st century thrash releases. After that, I would go for Exhibit A. I preferred Exhibit A out of the two. After that, Exhibit B goes behind. Then I would say probably Persona Non Grata. I think it's that high in their catalogue. It's a comeback. It's a great comeback considering what they went through with Tom. COVID. The battle beyond that, and just brought out a slammer. Sure-Headed Kill Machine. Impact is imminent. It deserves to be higher. I don't know why it's in higher, but it just shows you how great a catalogue they have if you can't have it higher in your favourite albums.
Yep.
Blood In, Blood Out, followed by Pleasure of the Flesh, and finally Force of Habit.
Gotcha. We're actually pretty similar on a lot of this stuff. You know, I went number 1 is Bonded by Blood, obviously. Number 2, I went with Impact is Imminent. 3, I went Fabulous Disaster. 4 and 5, I flip-flop from you. I went Exhibit B and then Exhibit A. Those are my 4 and 5. 6 is Persona Non Grata. 7, Tempo of the Damned. 8, Pleasures of the Flesh. 9, Shovel-Headed Kill Machine. 10, Blood In, Blood Out. And 11, Force of Habit. But, I mean, they're all good. You know, they're all good. So it's just a matter of personal preference, which ones you like better, you know? That's all it is.
Yeah.
Ant, what do you got?
So I didn't understand the assignment, so I did my top tracks, but for albums, just from what I had and what I came into, I came into Exodus with Impact is Imminent. So that is my number 1 Exodus record for me. Then I went to Fabulous Disaster. Then I went to Tempo of the Damned. Then the Exhibits, which you got me into, and then just mishmashing, just singles from various albums.
No Bonded in the top 5 for you?
Album wise, songs.
Okay.
I said I might be left in the dust on this show. I was going to moderate you two guys.
All right.
But I do have my top songs. If I don't know if you want me to throw those at you.
Yeah, you start with that. I got those too.
So for me, definitely the Toxic Waltz. Just a great shred fest, and it's just a fun song. And when you break it down lyrically, the Toxic Waltz is definitely, I mean, it's evident that it's a comical Cold War song when you think about it. I did put Bonded by Blood on there, and then I put Fabulous Disaster. The other one I have on here that I was actually, and later on that I picked up. Well, Impaler, I had to put Impaler on there. Verbal Razors,
love that one.
Yeah, that's a great shred fest. Metal Command, and then there were none. Overdose, even though it's an AC/DC cover. And I'm trying to think of what else did I have from. No. I like what you've done here. Open Season. And the only one I know from that is Thorn in My Side was the only one I knew from the Risk album.
Yeah.
I didn't hate that song. That was one that I went back and I listened to. And Thrash Under Pressure.
Really good one. Really underrated track.
Good song.
They do what they do because they fucking want to.
And overall, like, most of like my tracks are, I don't think there's any ill will behind me saying, even with lineup changes, lead singer changes, I mean, Bailoff and Zetra, both, they were a fun band. When you got away from, dark tracks, they had a bit of a comical Anthrax vibe to them. And I like that, so, but then, then they could just, flip the coin and just, take you to areas of the mind that we shouldn't speak of.
To me, out of all the thrash bands, they really defined what thrash is for me on a personal level. I think their music.
Yeah, I can't argue with that at all.
Out of all the bands, I think their music spoke to me the most out of anybody when I heard it. And, Megadeth was probably a close second to that. But that's just how I felt about them over the years.
Yeah, you were definitely like I said, the cause for me to listen to Exodus, or or to continue like, hey, what are these guys all about? But like I said, I originally listened to them right before like I moved from Long Island up here, and there was a kid that I went to school with that he had the Toxic Wall shirt, and I was like, what is that? He's like, oh, it's Exodus. It's like Kirk Hammett's old band. Like in my old high school, like the metalhead kids, that was like the tagline for Exodus. Oh, Exodus, Kirk Hammett's old band. That like went hand in hand with as soon as you said Exodus. They always said that. I was like, oh, I guess I'll have to pick that up.
I mean, I know he started the band or was partly responsible for starting the band, but I never considered it Kirk Hammett's band at all, ever.
Yeah, no, like I said, this isn't my opinion, but like anytime I would hear that, oh yeah, the Kirk Hammett's old, kind of like what I say about Flotsam and Jetsam with Newstead.
All right, John, what do you got? Give us your top tracks. Give us your top 15.
15 tracks, right? Okay, well, I've done them in kind of again chronological order. Bonded by Blood, the title track, obviously.
He's prepared.
Just an anthem, every time it comes on. I love the is it a plane crashing at the start of it? It's going into dive and it just explodes into that track. My favourite Exodus track, Piranha, which inspired a tattoo. A Lesson in Violence, Strike of the Beast, another one. Then I go to Fabulous Disaster, followed by that Impact is Imminent, the title track off the album. Love that song. Then jump into War is My Shepherd, Blacklist, Death Amphetamine, Funeral Hymn, Iconoclasm, The Ballad of Leonard and Charles, which is just an awesome song. Lyrics just fantastic, sick. The Sun is My Destroyer, crazy song. Very death metal inspired, as Ed said earlier. Collateral Damage, and off the latest one, Prescribing Horror.
Nice.
Just those babies crying in that Prescribing Horror track.
That's another track that paints a vivid picture, right, John?
Yeah, I can feel like the goosebumps on the back of my neck just thinking about a song. It's just, I don't know, just something about it. What Gary captured in that song is just thumbs him up as a writer. It's just absolutely awesome. I had some honorary tracks as well. Exodus off Bonded by Blood, Exodus Attack, as I always call it. AWOL off Impact is Imminent.
I love that song.
I remember the first
Everybody loves AWOL.
First time I had on the stereo, and it almost blew the speaker off. Just the crunch, the riff coming out of it. Scar Spangled Banner, another great song, and 44 Magnum Opus.
Nice. That's a great track too. 44 Magnum Opus.
I did think about Toxic Waltz, but I wanted to get stuff that probably the less well-known tracks or the less that everyone's heard of. It's the stuff that the real brutal stuff. That's always been my favorite thing about Exodus, is that there's been no ballads. It's just angry music, isn't it? But lyrically, Gary's got the gift of painting a picture in your head. You can look at the lyrics, listen to the lyrics, and it paints a scene. And there's not many people who can do that, I don't think.
Brilliant songwriter, man. Brilliant songwriter.
Excellent.
So I'll do my top 15. Although I did a top 25, and I'm not gonna do all of them. I did. I'll just do my 5 honorables. My 5 honorables were Objection Overruled, Persona Non Grata, The Years of Death and Dying, The Last Act of Defiance, and The Ballad of Leonard and Charles. Those are my 5 honorables. 15, I went to Brain Dead. Love that track. 14, I went to The Beatings Will Continue. Tell Morale, bro.
I was gonna say, if you don't do it, I'm sending the cops over for a welfare check.
13, I went to Impact, Thrash Under Pressure. I've always loved Thrash Under Pressure. Just 12, I went to A Lesson in Violence. 11, I went to Within the Walls of Chaos, another Impact track. 10, I went to The Toxic Waltz, iconic track for me. 9, I went to Verbal Razors, super underrated track off of Fabulous Disaster. 8, I went to Blacklist. 7, I went to Exhibit A, Iconoclasm. Brilliant fucking track. 6, I went to Piranha. 5, I went to Exodus, the track Exodus from the first record. 4, I went to Strike of the Beast, another anthem. 3, I went to Fabulous Disaster, the track Fabulous Disaster. That's such a good song. 2, like the lyrics in that are fucking brilliant. Like that's a track that I probably listened to 2 or 3 times when I was a kid, and I knew all the words like that. It just those lyrics just flow, and the tracks like that where the lyrics are just make sense. Like you don't even have to look at the lyric sheet anymore. You just know them. I love that. It just defines part of what a good song is. 2 is Impact is Imminent, title track, and number 1 is Bonded by Blood.
I knew it.
Couldn't have it any other way.
Good choice, mate. Good choice.
So yeah, this has been super fun. Like I thank you guys for letting me dedicate a whole show to Exodus. It's like
Fucking A.
It's just like I love talking about the band. You love talking about things you love, number one, but for us to do a whole show about it just makes me happy. So thank you guys for that.
No problem, man.
Thank you.
It's when you have a passion about something, and it's been a part of your life for so long, it's awesome to just
I did
talk about it.
I was gonna get the Bonded by Blood tattoo, but I ended up going with Let There Be Blood only because it was a cooler looking tattoo. But Gary Holt did sign my tattoo at a show, and I ended up getting it tattooed on me. So I got Gary Holt's signature on my fucking arm, which was pretty amazing.
I hope I can meet him and he can sign my guitar if I actually get his signature series.
So anything you guys want to close with?
That John, what do you got?
Said or you want to talk about?
Not really. Just picked up a few things this week. The obituary book, Turned Inside Out. Looking forward to reading that. Probably my favorite death metal band, and the latest Go Tour album.
I got that on vinyl. It's really good, John.
Good album. Good. Yeah, excellent.
Really good.
Excellent.
Yep. Nah, I better not. So my birthday is next week. I'm going to be 48, and I was thinking about redoing a denim vest with patches on it.
That would be cool. I wouldn't have the patience to sit there and fucking sew 30 patches on a jacket.
Jackie's going to do that. I'm not. Yeah, no.
Poor Jackie.
Yeah, give me a break, man.
Maybe iron-on patches I could do. But
yeah, no, I'll be like, listen, your grandmother passed away. We have her sewing kit, and if you want to pay homage to her, I got this denim vest. But I was thinking about that. I was like, I'm pushing 50, and I'm saying to myself, I just want to, I don't know, I want a stupid metal vest. I just, I want to look like, I want to look stupid.
Make it happen.
I'm thinking about it, because I can't afford a new 7-string right now, even though I want a 7-string. I'm thinking about upgrading the drum kit, but that's going to be next year. And I don't know, but that's what I was thinking about, for my next midlife crisis. I was actually thinking about putting puppets for the big patch on the back. And then I was thinking about putting an Exodus patch here and a Megadeth patch here. And then on the top part, I was thinking about putting a Deicide patch.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then I know somebody that, does custom stuff. I was literally thinking about getting one patch on the bottom that says Dancing on Glass.
How about getting Dancing on Glass tattooed on your ass?
So put dancing on one cheek,
glass
and
on
then
the
on kind of above the crack, and then glass on the other cheek. And while you're saying this, I'm fucking caressing my ass. I'm like, okay.
Or how about put it on your ass and put dancing on GL/ASS. Go ass.
That is. I like that song. John, we always come back to this song with me. It's just like one of those. I don't know. It's just one of those things.
I never heard anybody give Dancing on Glass as much praise as you do. That's why I find it so
just bust my one remaining nut because of it. Yeah, I can't. I don't know. I thought it was a good song. I mean, I didn't like Nona. I liked Dancing on Glass.
I get it, man. I get it.
Just one more push, and I know I'll hit the top. Family ties in London. I don't know. To me, it was catchy. I mean, I didn't say it was better than Wild Side. I just, really quick before we wrap up, I respect John 5 as a guitar player. I love his work with Marilyn Manson. Again, talking about gear.
He's amazing.
He's very, I mean, this eclectic way of playing, and then he plays a Fender Telecaster, which is the furthest thing from metal you can have, but makes it work. I don't know. I'm having kind of a funky time seeing that. I think Tommy Lee's out again, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
Did you guys hear anything about that?
No.
Gonorrhea?
Or another hepatitis flare up, whatever.
Did any of you guys see that the famous Instagram post?
No. What?
Fucking hell.
Well, have it.
Huh? What is it?
Go ahead.
It was the dick post.
No. What?
Yeah.
He posted a picture of his dick?
He was he was in his bath or jacuzzi or whatever sort of thing, and he was just dipping into the water, and it was like a picture of it. Just wrong.
He says it's just wrong. Just we did our overrated, underrated, and perfectly rated, and Tommy Lee is just completely overrated. I just it's like I literally think of that scene in the movie Knocked Up. He's doing the dice thing too much. Oh, it's really all he's got. Tommy Lee's doing the stick spin too much. Oh, it's really all he's got.
I just saw something interesting on our Instagram, Ant. So we posted the Judgment Night soundtrack, right?
Gummy iced tea.
We posted the Judgment Night soundtrack, and it was liked by other than. I don't know if you could see that. Ice motherfucking T liked it.
Wow.
Get out of here.
That's pretty awesome.
Oh.
Damn. If we ever meet Ice-T, and if he ever comes on the show, I'm going to have to do my best to not call him Scotty Appleton from New Jack City.
Oh, shit.
Not a lot of people know this about Ice-T. It's like he's originally born and raised in the 5 boroughs, and then at a very, very young age moved out to California.
Doesn't he live in New Jersey too?
Maybe. You tell me, man.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
He's I guess you could say he's straight edge.
Is he really? Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't dip into any of the poisons. No alcohol, no tobacco, no illicit drugs. Yeah, he's like, yeah. And like me, he does not come from recovery. He just never drank. Which I know people are like scratch their head about that with me, but that's me. How about them Islanders last night, buddy?
Oh shit! What an ass whooping they got. That's it.
Damn.
That's your team, John. The Lightning, right? You're a Bolts fan.
Well, I think it's just because it's Tampa, Hockey's one of those games we don't get a lot of it over in the UK, so I don't know why, for whatever reason. But I think if it was a team, I'd say Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, they kicked the Islanders' ass yesterday, 5-0.
We have cess-ridden filth for Tampa Bay because they're like one of the reasons why we didn't get the cup, and then it's like some of our newer rivalries are them and the Caps.
Yeah, they're just a tough team. Tampa's a tough team. They're well coached. Hats off to them.
They've been doing well for quite a few years now, haven't they?
Yep. But the Islanders are still holding on to that first wild card spot.
Yeah,
I believe Florida jumped in front of Pittsburgh, so Florida's got the second ones. I mean, there's 5 games left. If the Islanders could just win, 3 of those games, I think they'll be in good shape. So we'll see what happens.
Fingers crossed.
On that note, gentlemen.
Yeah, this was a this was a remarkable show. John, we love having you, man. And seriously, let's put our heads together. It'll sound like a bowling alley, but we'll come up with another topic and anything you want to talk about in future discussions. You're just a great addition to the show. We love having you. We just absolutely love having you.
And for this subject, we had to have you, John, because you're
yeah. Because you needed to pick up where I didn't have anything.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't think an hour and a half does it justice for Exodus. I could talk all day, all night. It's one of those bands when you're so passionate about, you could just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
I know it's not metal. That's how I am with Pink Floyd.
Yeah, no. If that's what gets you out.
I literally would classify myself as a Pink Floyd historian. Every album, my first tattoo, tons of merchandise. In fact, Dark Side of the Moon. I own Dark Side of the Moon on vinyl and different variations from different anniversary eras, on cassette, different anniversary eras, on 8-track and CD, DVD, Blu-ray, and then I actually have it on 8mm reel to reel. Who has that? Anthony does. I have no way to play it because I don't have a reel to reel in my studio, but I still actually have a reel tape of Dark Side of the Moon. I don't know why. But yeah. Thanks for coming on with us, man. Really, honest to God, appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. It's been an absolute blast again. It's my second time, but each time, it just the whole episode's flown by, and it's just great fun talking to you guys. You're always interesting, and
I literally worked 13 plus hours because right now, by the time we post this, but it's 11:30 here now in the morning, and so I worked from last night. I left for work at 20 after 6 at night, punched in at 7, worked the whole night, punched out at 8 a.m., got myself coffee and breakfast on the way home. Eddie texted me while I was on the way home. He was like, how's 10 a.m.? And Jackie and we usually go to breakfast every Sunday morning, but she was going to take her mom to church because it's Palm Sunday. It was like, well, we'll do breakfast Monday instead because she has spring break. So I was like, this will all work out. So I came home. So I still have 0 sleep in my body, and like Axl Rose, but with no cocaine.
I was going to go to church this morning too, and I was going to meet Glenn Benton there, but
you weren't you?
When I realized he couldn't make it, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to go. So
yeah, just go up to the holy water and just rock as a priest. Is it the church or is it the feeble church?
The feeble church.
The feeble church. Gentlemen, you guys I swear to God, I had a crappy work week. Thank you for being here to put a smile on my face.
Cheers, Metal Brothers.
As always, kids, like and subscribe, hit the little bell. And, if there's anything you want to talk about, hit us up on the Instagram, hit us up on the YouTube. If you see my link that I post on the Book of Face, by all means, let us know. We're always doing fun shit. And you never know. If you're as cool as John Gill, we may just bring you on as a guest.
This is a show by the fans for the fans.
Fucking A right, doggy.
Yep.
All right. Until next time, gentlemen. Put them up.
Adios, amigos.
Vaya con Dios.
Gentlemen, thanks for coming on. Thanks for hanging with us on the Realms of Metal. Like I said, I'm going to post a link to the GoFundMe for Fred Livingston Jr., the gentleman who passed away Friday night at the venue. Donate whatever you can. Thanks, guys. Have a good week, and we'll see you next weekend.
Likewise. See ya.